Alright, this is Smiles with the Smiles Rants. Age proposed changes 109. Let's see what we got. I'm gonna do a quick run through if I can without spending too long, just because there's a lot of stuff in here. I'm gonna try to avoid too much strategy and balance and just try to get an overview of everything. We'll see how we do. Um, Raise bounce things. Failing a raise attack will generate 4.5 meters point. I think this will get changed or fixed, because as it is, that just means that any random person in your kingdom can give away 17 meter points with 4 soldiers. Um, Also, I don't know what the current bounce meter thing is, but I don't think it's low. I think it's on par with trad, so you're still giving hostile pretty easily. Military losses for failing a raise attack will be increased by 60%. So this is sort of tackling the efficiency of raise bouncing, I guess, without limiting its damage as much. Works for me. Um, I think it's maybe a bit harsh, but I get the idea. Raise bounce will have a return time of 16 ticks. Very weird. I don't know if that's going to affect war as well, but it just, okay. 2 hours on your attacks is fine. Um, I get the impression people want to nerf Rays and they don't know how, so they're trying some things we can discuss and see how it works out. Mentor changes down to 12 ticks. I think this isn't something the change council gets to decide. I think this is something the admins decide based on revenue and gameplay and stuff. So it's nice to slip in there, but I'm sure that David will just say no at some point or yes at some point. Wouldn't even have to be at the end of an age or start of an age. You could do it mid-age. It's not a balance thing. Learns are, um, I I don't know what this is compared to what it is now. I'm going to assume slightly nerfed. Maybe it's 2.5 right now. Whatever. Learning's only strong in a very small set of circumstances, which is you can maintain O-spec offense and your learned books actually matter. So, Last Age Human, a great example. As for In-War Learn, removing 35% books. Again, I don't know what the current damage is. I think it's 25 or 30 or 20. This is something that goes from useless to overpowered really quickly. It's just, it's hard to fine tune it. For the most part, I doubt anyone does any learns ever anyways, so who cares? Races! For the most part, races are untouched on a lot of their bonuses and stuff, so if they're unchanged, I won't really address it much. We've got unique racial ability, Skybound Strike. Before each assault, avians perform the chant of the skybound wings, an ancient hymn that summons the spirit of the skies. If the winds favor them, avians are gifted with the power to strike and return instantly, ready to attack once more. Yada yada yada. I don't know if I'm going to read all of those out. I do love flavor text, though. It's one of the things I like about Utopia. You fail a spell, and it's like, we're truly sorry, we just don't have enough runes. I like it. Um, so it's basically like it maths out to a 5% gains buff, but the fact that every once in a while you get that double hit, maybe, you're smacking a TM with your top offense, you get the double hit off, it's like really good. Um, but overall, it just maths out to 5%, and it just sometimes that 5% might matter a lot more. So it's fun. It's a small buff. I think that's about the range we're looking to see in most of these is like a 5-10% buff to something, once a day or twice a day. Um, I forget how many of these have time frame limits, so we might have removed some of those. I haven't been paying attention. Dark Elf looks the same. So we have Shadow Surge. Offensive spells can double cast. So I imagine this lasts for one tick, or I imagine most of these are like spells you cast. I think most of them are just going to be like trigger and last one tick or whatever. Um, so essentially, plus 10% magic instant damage because durations it doesn't help to double cast. Um, Great, you know. Again, it's just a small buff. It's cute. Maybe get a double Mystic Vortex off would make everyone happy. Dwarf, unique ability Earthbreaker. Yada yada yada. 10% chance to spread the plague, reducing the target's DME by extra strong plague amounts. I mean, Earthshaker, reducing their target's defense by 25% for one tick. Um, again, it's if this one procs early in a chain, it's gonna be devastating. If it procs on a TM hit, you're gonna go from breaking a TM with one province to all your provinces. And unlike plague, there's no way to counter it once it's triggered. So I think this is gonna be pretty triggering for people. But 10% isn't super high. And if you're already multi-tapping it, it's sort of like, do you need to lower their defense 25%? If you're not multi-tapping it, you can't really rely on landing it. I think it's pretty good if you've got high offense dwarves, if you've got Nightmare in the Kingdom, if you're in a situation where you're 2-tapping, 3-tapping. I think this can just be used sort of tactically. You do a few spread hits, and if anything triggers Earthshaker, then you can pile onto it and deep chain it quite a bit. That dwarf elite is tanky. I don't know why they got an even higher elite for some reason. Okay. Elf looks all the same to me. Is their elite really only 11 offense? I don't know. It got nerfed. I don't know why it got nerfed. Does everyone think that elves were overpowered or something? Oh, because they got a 12D spec back. I see. Just subtly giving TMs 20% more defense. No, but nothing to see here. All right. This is Mana Cascade. Potency of offensive spells. So every time you cast a spell, an offensive spell, you replenish mana by 1%. So this is sort of like 10% mana refund. It's very similar to 10% damage or 10% duration. Not bad. Fairy looks unchanged. You notice that Elf got plus 20% defense and Fairy's unchanged. What's that all about? Ethereal Mirage reduces the gains and casualties by incoming attacks by 20% for 2 ticks. So it's basically Mist and Salvation in one spell, but a much shorter cooldown. So it's not going to be great. Out of War. Is this just a spell you can cast every 2 ticks? I don't know. Like if it's a spell, shouldn't it have a range of durations? Anyways, that's pretty sweet. If it's wave time, that's going to be really useful. Maybe you could even try to run some hybrid fairies with this. Could work. Halfling, they look like they lost a defense, but they gained 5% population. That usually evens out about right. Sneak attack. 0 thievery losses for 1 tick. Can't be used for 10 ticks after that. This seems a little broken to me. 0% thief losses means you can do a lot more YOLO prop, YOLO AW, greater arson without having good BE, good TPA, and good thievery loss reduction. A lot of what balances things like prop and AW and rogues in general is that are suffering a lot of losses. drop that loss count to 0%, and guess what? They're very strong. And 10 ticks isn't long enough for me to care about ET. I'll wait 10 ticks every time. Also, the first tick of war, I get 100% of my mana or stealth used with no losses. Um, so it's pretty strong. When you compare it to the magic buffs we've seen, which are effectively plus 10% damage, this is massively stronger. Maybe you say it's balanced because of the D-spec, but they also got population from it, so I think they're probably fine. Humans. We slightly trimmed the science efficiency. We gained military losses. Thought that was wages at first, but it's losses. We cut their elite and their O-spec offense, and we gave them minus 90% magic effectiveness. So, yeah, humans got hit with the nerf hammer pretty hard. I don't think that they're unplayable or anything. I think they're probably still fine. It's just going to be silly. Diplomatic acumen. They get a 30% reduction in resources lost from plunder and learn, and 10% land losses from traditional march and massacres. So basically just permanent mist. It's, it's sort of in line with other things we see. It's just like a 10% buff there. The minus 90% in defensive WPA is hilarious because it turns the game into a really funny spot where all your enemies have like 100% success rate, but they don't have enough runes to cast anything. Like if you just, you explode your targets before you chain them, you hit them with magic ward, you rob their runes, you lightning strike their runes. Who cares if you have 100% success rate on Landlust if you have no runes? So people who are smart will account for this when they're facing humans, I would think. And on the plus side, it means humans can still throw fireballs and landlusts significantly stronger than last age. So, yeah, pretty big nerfs to human there. 5% science, 10% military, and 100% wizard defense. But hey, who knows? Could be fun. Orcs look pretty similar. They got buffed a little. And they, for some reason, plus 25% casualties, which is not necessary. But we'll see. What do we have here? Warlord's Fury. All attacks, also plunder, and returns 25% of lost troops after the battle. I don't know what that means. Is that the same as just minus 25% losses? It doesn't say they return as soldiers, so it's I probably need a fact checked on that one. Not great, sort of okay. Work seems weird. I don't know why they have plus casualties and this instead of just not that. Is the thing that this only works on trads? So learns and plunders and massacres, you still have the full losses? Maybe that's it. I could see that. Anyways, I don't think glass cannon orcs with no defense are really in the ballpark of things people want, but it's probably playable. Just no one wants to. Draconian. I heard these were broken. So we have plus 10% OME, plus 10% OME, plus 15% OME. I don't know about you. If you can do math, I can't do math. So it sounds like plus 40% offense to me. You add plus 40% to that, and you've got an 18-5 elite. So why do they have an 18-5 elite? It's probably because they have big nerfs, right? Oh, that's pretty small. Oh, that's pretty small. Oh, they have no wages as well, and extra defense. Yeah, these guys are just overpowered as is. I don't understand why everyone else gets a 5 to 10% bonus, and this guy gets a permanent plus 15% offense bonus, which is stronger than everything else we've seen so far, and you can use it all the time. Sort of silly. So either this could be 24 ticks, and you could probably do away with this, and it would still be strong. But you know, you have stacking military casualties again with Bloodlust and their penalties, just basically another orc. Um, you know, an orc that doesn't get crazy gains but doesn't have defense problems, probably still strong. Just having this much offense and a better D-spec is probably too strong. Goblin. Goblin D's nuts, am I right? Birth rate. Enemy military casualties. Population. Well, this is bonkers. What do we got here? Da, 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 da. Goblin bribery. Alright, so this is just broken. Obviously. I don't know if, like, people can't do math or what, but, I mean, whatever, it's minus 30% science efficiency, maybe it's not broken, but the fact that you can guarantee plus 40% kills is probably just broken, right? But who knows? Whatever. Based on just defense, you're gonna be unbreakable if you were going pure defense. Now this is obviously not a TM race because TMs need science efficiency, but the fact that you can run 12 O-spec per acre and 12 EPA and hit with plus 25% kills all the time sounds pretty fun. So who knows? Seems overpowered. Maybe it's not. Who knows? Artisans, they're probably the same. 20% of the time, you get 10% of the buildings you build back as credits. This means you get 2% reduction in building costs. 2%. 2%. Thanks. I hope that unique ability is really going to pay off for everybody because you get a 2% buff in building credits. All right. Necromancer, extra wizards, less wizard losses, and nightmares. So this is like a heretic. When you attack, you get wizards. Alright, so that's just utterly trash. Like, literally worthless. Just pick heretic. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about that, so I won't say anything. Clerics look the same. Did they have -1 self-spell cost? No. See? Yeah, catch these things. And they got an extra spell here. That's pretty good. That's better than it was, by far. -1 self-spell cost is a really nice bonus a lot of the time. And I think with less OP other science options, revelations become actually valuable. Self-spells 15% of the time are 50% longer. So on average, your self-spells last 7% longer. 7%. This is nicer. At least you have a big number, so it feels kind of cool. But like, you cast all your spells. You go Fertile Lands, regular time. Minor Protection, regular time. Divine Shield, regular time. Inspire Army. Oh my god, it's for 30 ticks. But at least it's in line with everything else so far. Heretics look the same. Um, so after you do a sabotage, so a thief operation, you gain bonus WP. Kinda cool, kinda terrible. So here's what happens. You have to use all 100% of your stealth night striking a target, say. And you get 40 successes, which is really high. You must have done a good job. You get 40 successes means you might get a temporary 10% WPA boost. Might. Temporary 10% if you have 40 successes in one tick. Yeah, it needs to be buffed a little bit, or it's just so far. I think all of these racials, except the necromancer, or not racials, abilities on the personalities can just be removed because none of them are interesting or strong yet. Wizards, mystics look the same. I don't think anyone understands how defender converts work, but this allows mystics to cast a spell, which can convert specs to elites on attack or defense. I don't get it. My guess is that if you have, I don't have a guess for it. Well, I mean, this is just way stronger than every other unique ability. This just gives mystics optional spec converts, which is like a huge bonus that people want on, war heroes or whatever. So it's nice. This would make a lot of hybrid mystics quite strong. And I don't know why mystics get this amazing ability when heretics get 10% temporary WPA once a war. But rogues, they look the same. Unique ability, hide in the shadows. After a successful thievery operation, rogues have a 5% chance to recover 5% of stealth. So, you're a rogue, right? You got 100 stealth. You night strike a guy 45 times, and you have 40 successes. Means you're going to recover 10 stealth. Which basically means you just have a 5% stealth bonus. It's fine, It's in line with everything else so far. It's 5% extra stealth. Sure. I mean, it'd be fun if you get it like YOLO twice on tick, and suddenly you got 15 stealth in one tick, but that's happening once every couple wars only. So yeah, it's basically just plus 5% damage. Pretty small, but it's there. Shepherd. We gave Shepherd plus 50% science generation. Did we take anything from them? They no longer get free food. They're not immune to food spells. So Shepherd was the strongest, one of the strongest personalities, right? Like why did we give it 50% science generation? Seems like a lot, doesn't it seem like a lot to you? Seems like a lot to me. Every tick, you have a 50% chance to gain 10% building credits and double food production. So they get plus 50% food production, average, and they get 120% of their build credits, of their land as build credits, every 24 hours. 120%. Let's go back to Artisan. Artisans get a 2% rebate on buildings. Right? 2% rebate on buildings. Shepherd gets 120% of their land as build credits every day. So yeah, I don't know. That just seems like a lot for Shepherd. It's just like unlimited build credits and plenty of food and unlimited science. Means you're gonna be able to like every shepherd's gonna have like 5 times their acres in build credits every day. They're gonna lose 20% and it's gonna go up, and 20% is gonna go up. So they're gonna sit on 40% unis. They're just gonna raise with credits and double time rebuild with credits and beat anyone that touches them. But that's what we got. Tacticians. I assume they nerfed them. They got rid of immunity to dragons. That's probably fair. Tacticians felt very strong for a while. Um, but when attacking, 10% of your offense deals damage to dragons. So 10% of your raw offense sent will deal damage to dragon. So you would slay dragon every wave, right? Like, right? Like, right? I think so. Yeah. Yeah. If you just have tax, you basically have even better than immunity to dragons. You just auto kill every dragon. Now you're gonna have to tank it for a full wave to do this. So, there's some tactical problems there, but sounds pretty good to me. Shapeshifter. This is regular converts on hits, form shift. Can either do 10% more casualties to the enemy, worthless, or minus 25% casualties to yourself, very strong. You can also either have plus 25% gains or minus 10% losses. So one of those, incredibly strong. The other one of those, almost worth. And for some reason, they get 1,000 troops and everyone gets 500. So this should be 400, 400, I would guess. And their landlust does double damage in war. So this is weird because, like, you have minus 25% casualties and plus 25% gains and converts. That seems pretty strong, right? Like a traditional cleric just has like minus 35% casualties. So this has gains and casualties. That seems pretty strong. Especially because I see here that for some reason warriors don't have an offense buff anymore. So, but what Shapeshifter doesn't have is any sort of science buff, so they won't scale quite as good, I guess. Also, this seems actually worse. Like when I landlust someone, I want them to stay fat, so I get more landlust acres. So this is literally worse than not having the ability almost always. Oh, jeez. Okay. Warrior. +1 general. Okay. So warriors basically got minus 50% casualties and a general, which is probably pretty strong. It isn't a bonus to offense, though. Actually, no personalities have a bonus to offense. So basically, we're just helping all the TMs. We're giving halflings a huge buff. We're giving elves a huge buff. We're giving fairy a modest buff. Dark elves, we're just letting rot, I guess. uh, you know? So, yeah, Hopefully that wasn't too long. Tried to keep it about 30 minutes. I'm Smiles. This is me talking about things. Hopefully everyone's having a good day. See you next time for revised or finals or never again.